So apparently today we're paying the daddy tax. Yes.
That was really weird.
Yeah, okay, I'll cut it out. Or somehow it's even better in hardcover. Okay, welcome to SilverBear Books. I am the hairiest host who loves books the most. I am SilverBear, and this is the sweetest little bear who was ever in there. That's Honey Bear. And today we're going to talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl, Book 2, Carl's Doomsday Scenario. Hold on to that for me. And this was a phenomenal continuation of the series. I think this is very rapidly becoming a genre obsession for me, and it's something that I think anybody can get behind and have a great time with. But for me, these books scratch a particular itch that I haven't realized I've had since I was a little kid playing video games and getting behind all that. I'm trying my best not to be repetitive from the first book, but there's just so much of the same sort of stuff to recommend it, but even more of it. So the quick summary for this is Kyle and Donut have made their way to the third floor where the game starts to become a little bit more complex. So each of them have to pick new classes, which will give them new skills, abilities, and perhaps completely change their bodies. So it follows two main quest lines, one of which I will briefly go into, the other one of which I will leave completely unspoiled. But the first is a haunted circus, a Grimaldi's circus it's called. And it has all of your usual sort of zombie, undead, creepy, haunted circus. In my head, I can envision the grimy big top, and in my head, Nox Arcana's Carnival of Lost Souls is playing. Dun, 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 dun. You know, kind of the haunted organ grinder situation. And Carl and Donut are sort of forced into a quest, and the show starts to incorporate quests as an idea. And quests of varying sizes will, of course, give varying levels of experience, and you have to determine what's worth dedicating your time to versus the reward you're going to get out of the back of it. And it creates another layer to this adventure where it's not just randomly stumbling across things. The AI is creating storylines that people can follow, and it is all built to build intrigue and build viewership in this. Carl and Donut have found themselves remarkably popular. There is an increasing reliance now on them building their fan base and their audience. And so while doing the best they can to survive, they also have to be conscious of how things are going to be perceived by the greater world, which is, of course, allowing Donut to come into her own, because that's something, as a former showcat, that she has a great deal of expertise in. And so suddenly Carl's not the only one that is in a position of leadership within the group. And it creates a brand new dilemma on how much you're willing to perform for this sort of intergalactic, what's the word I'm looking for? Puppet show, maybe, and pantomime. Pantomime's the word I'm looking for. And yeah, it makes things really, really interesting. We have the introduction or the reintroduction of several NPCs or other player characters from earlier books, which are fascinating in the way that they're incorporated, but I can't go into who they are without spoilers. And so maybe I'll record another video on that. But the character of Mordecai, who I was quite fond of from the first book, is a far more central figure through this. He's now changed shape into an incubus. Incubus? Yeah, it was an incubus. And so he's sort of this handsome devil with a really low alcohol tolerance. And it is great. It adds a new dynamic to the Carl Donut back and forth. And so I'm really loving the addition of Mordecai, the development of Carl as a character. He's becoming more and more defiant. He wants more and more to interrupt the status quo of what's going on. And he is the sort of militaristic element of him, that former Coast Guard, the service person who won't let himself be manipulated by these outside forces, is certainly coming to the fore. So Carl's becoming more of a resistant kind of character, a more tempestuous and resistant character. Meanwhile, though, this is where I think I've commented on it before, but Donut as a character here is starting to mature. We're starting to see Donut more and more as a person and less as a toddler that was suddenly made really, really smart. So Carl is beginning to notice that Donut's growing up and that Donut is no longer simply his girlfriend's cat, but rather is a friend, a companion, and a legitimate person in their own right who needs to be respected. And that is absolutely creating this amazing dynamic between them, which is becoming the center point of each book. And it's so good to see that kind of growth in a book that definitely could have just been about smushing people and, beating up mobs and bosses and levels and powers and all that kind of stuff. You could have absolutely gotten away with it just being about that. But to give this such an emotional core was unnecessary and a fantastic decision. In addition to that, you have Carl and Donut having to start laying their own survival against the greater good of the other human beings that are in the game with them. And they have to sort of pick whether or not they're prepared to forego their own humanity and do things to the detriment of others for their own benefit and well-being. And that's a really fascinating dilemma for them. And so I am well and truly enjoying how that element of it is going as well. So all of those things bundled together mean that this is another absolutely phenomenal read. If you like the first one, you'll love this one. There's no question about that. It takes the premise, it takes it to the next level, and it is absolutely worth going into it. But I think that this is somehow even, I know I gave the first book 5 stars, but this is a step up. This is an improvement. It takes everything that was good about the first book and it dials it up another level. So, it's 5 stars again because there's no point in having a rating system if I'm going to break it. But it's 5 stars, but it's a better 5 stars than the first one was a 5 stars. So please don't stop. Keep going. It's really, really good. Yeah, I think it's going to be a shorter review though, because it is so much everything I loved about the first one dialed up. There's not much new to say about it other than if you thought the first one was or had character development or had feeling and emotion and all of those things that weren't, just repeating myself, but that weren't necessary but were great. This does all of those things to a better level. The mobs are more interesting, they're more varied. The 2 distinct quests that happen mean that you sort of get, 2 could have been 2 smaller books, but instead it's 1 bigger one. And yeah, it's fantastic. So Dungeon Crawler Carl, Book 2, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, 5 stars. Have you read it? What did you think about it? Jump in the comment section, start a discussion, let's talk. I'm really looking forward to that. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. It really helps. And thank you very much. I will see you in the next one. And just as an intercession there, I'm sorry, buddy. That must have been quite heavy. Sorry. All right, we're going to take Carl's Doomsday Scenario. And I'm going to shift those down. and put it on the review shelf. Starting to look good up there, isn't it? All right. That's a bit better. Bye.